Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that's what teaching this truth. And as always, much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with the 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes, and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back today with another quick lesson, and I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect. I want to do a lesson on this article that you see here on the screen. This is from endtimesheadlines.org, and the title reads, Trump's right-hand man reveals UFOs are flying over U.S. nuclear bases. All right, Trump's right-hand man reveals UFOs are flying over U.S. nuclear bases. And this isn't really anything, for lack of better words, new. As there have been plenty of accounts of what the world deems as UFOs, which they're really identified flying objects to us. All right, they're IFOs to us, but they're UFOs or UAPs. All right, to those that don't know. All right, because in those vehicles, all right, those spaceships, all right, that people may see and they may record them on video, and now you have all this you have all this talks in regardings to particular militaries now have to disclose UFO findings and things of that nature, so-called UFO findings. All these things are happening because those are the angels of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, those are the vehicles that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai will use and uses, all right, to view everything going on. As the scripture says, let me get that real quick. The eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom, because the eyes of the Lord are the chariots, all right, the angels. All right, this is Amos chapter 9, verse 8. It says, Behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. All right, now when this, just to qualify it, this was, beginning, speaking about Israel. All right, because Israel was being wicked, so the Lord was going to bring forth our enemies to put us into captivity. But now, all right, you can liken this verse, all right, unto America. All right, because this is the most sinful kingdom on the planet Earth. All right, it says, Behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I would not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith Yahweh. Okay? All right, because only the elect are going to be saved on this go-around. All right, and the rest of our people, whether it be the 2/3 here in America, as well as the rebels that are scattered worldwide, all right, they're gonna taste the judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, whether it be the destruction from the ICBM thermonuclear missiles, all right, for those that take the MOTB, all right, as well as fire from the chariots, all right, disintegrating and vaporizing other Israelites worldwide, all right, because it's just not going to be individuals in America, all right, that are going to take the MOTB. It's going to be the MOTB is going to be something that's going to be worldwide. Okay, let's get another one real quick. I think it's 2 Chronicles 15, I want to say it is. No, it ain't 2 Chronicles 15. Just bear with me. Let me do the eyes of the Lord. I'm just typing the word eyes of the Lord. Let's do that. I know it's in Chronicles, though. The one I'm thinking of. Yep, here it is. All right, 2 Chronicles 16 and 9. All right, this is 2 Chronicles 16 and 9. It says, for the eyes of Yahweh run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. All right, and the eyes of the Lord, once again, are the angels. All right, and the angels, there's angels around us all the time. There's chariots around us all the time. Sometimes most of the time, I rather say, we just don't see them. All right, because they have they can make themselves invisible. They can make themselves super small. They can show themselves to be super big. Angels, they're in the fourth dimension. But they can manifest themselves to be in the third dimension. They also cloak themselves and make themselves look like clouds, as well as the scripture says. Let me get that real quick. Psalm, was it 103? Who make it this 104 and 3? Yep, this is Psalm 104, verse. Let's just start at verse 1. All right, it says, "Bless Yahweh, O my soul. O Yahweh, my power. Thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty. Who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretchest out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot." You see that? So the Lord can make the clouds, all right, his chariots as well. And when I say make the clouds his chariot, I'm not saying that it's actually like a little nimbus cloud, you know, in an angel sitting on top of the cloud, and the cloud is just floating. No, like the chariot can disguise itself to make it look like a cloud. That's why you may see a cloud that can resemble a disc shape. All right, because you have the chariots that can cloak themselves, and they can be either behind the clouds, or they can look like a cloud, but it's really like a cloaking device. So once again, it says, "Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind." Okay, so once again, the whole point of those precepts coming out is the fact that the Lord, all right, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, via the holy angels, all right, they are always constantly watching. Our scripture says that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. So let's read this again in 2 Chronicles 16:9. It says, "For the eyes of the Yahweh run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him." It says, "Herein thou hast done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth thou shalt have wars." Okay? And you see the wars that Esau's involved in right now, man, because he's doing foolishly. You see, and he's also spooked in regardings to, Esau pretty much is spooked due to the fact that the Lord is revealing him through his men, first and foremost the prophets of Yahweh Bashim Shai, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, and he's also seeing, these chariots. So he's getting spooked, So once again, it says Trump's right-hand man reveals UFOs are flying over U.S. nuclear bases, because when these nuclear missiles get shot off, remember, all right, the scripture says in the book of Joel that they're not going to miss their mark. All right, they're going to hit every location and every spot where they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to hit. Okay, and the Lord may have it to whereas the Lord may have it to whereas he could shut the defense systems off here in Babylon the Great, to whereas all the missiles make it through, and there are not going to be no missiles getting intercepted and things of that nature. There's actually a scripture, I think it's in Jeremiah. I got to remember how it was worded. If I could find it, if it comes to my mind, I'll bring it out. But without further ado, I'm gonna have since I'm driving, I'm gonna have AI read the article, and then I'll pause it, pull precepts, and make points as we go.
Trump's right-hand man reveals UFOs are flying over U.S. nuclear bases. Published by End Time Headlines. In a chilling disclosure that has reignited debates about extraterrestrial visitors, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has admitted that unidentified flying objects, UFOs, now officially termed unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, have been spotted hovering over restricted U.S. nuclear facilities.
And once again, like I said, this isn't something that's new. All right, there's various different accounts of chariots hovering over nuclear facilities, causing the nuclear facilities to start counting down. And then as the nuclear facilities count down, or not the nuclear facility, but I'd rather say that it starts off the countdown for a missile to be shot off, and they can't turn it off, they can't stop it. They're trying to they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. They're putting their codes in, and it's pretty much not working. And then all of a sudden it stops. Letting you know that the Lord, the Lord is playing with these individuals. Just as you had that Hellfire missile that struck. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find something for you real quick. Hold on one second. Okay, I actually found the video. It took me a minute to find it, but this is the one I was talking about. All right, so this is an example of how you would have the Chariots, all right, that would begin the countdown of a nuclear missile countdown, or rather say, and then they can't stop it, and then they'll pretty much cause the countdown to stop, letting you know that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is in control. All right, so I'm gonna play this real quick. Fair use, by the way. Fair use.
You'll see those files that I shared with you. They did find stuff. There was an incident in October of 1982 over at ICBM base where UFOs popped up, was observed over this base where the missiles are pointed at us, United States. These UFOs perform incredible maneuvers. They split apart, they fuse back together, they'd appear and disappear, and right at the end of this 4-hour period, the launch control codes for the ICBMs lit up. Something entered the correct codes. The missiles were fired up and ready to launch, and they could not shut it down. The Russian officers were panicking. The UFOs they disappeared. The launch control system goes back to normal. And I can tell you, you'll see those.
And it was Russia, you know what I'm saying, that experienced that. You see what I'm saying? And we know what the scriptures say in Revelation, the 20th chapter. Revelation 20 just being one of many. Revelation 20, Isaiah 13, Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 50, 51, Ezekiel 38. Pretty much Russia is going to be the main catalyst, which is Gog, Magog. Magog literally means from Gog, from the land of Gog. They're going to be the main catalyst that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to use, all right, to shoot forth their missiles here to America, as well as, other various different nations, like whether it be like China, Iran, Pakistan, NATO nations, but Russia in specific, all right, is going to be a main player, if you will, in this great showdown that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is getting ready to bring forth here in America. All right, all these various different nations are gathering themselves together in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the Middle East, Yahweh Shaphat, well, the so-called Middle East, I'd rather say Western Asia, gathering together for war. You had a so-called peace. The so-called peace treaty between Hamas and Israel, that pretty much went to shit. They had peace, so-called peace, for a few days, and then all of a sudden, the bombing started all over again. So it's really Yahweh Bashim Yahushua stirring the pot. All right, and war is being brewed up. Because ultimately that's what the Lord is going to bring, all right, before He delivers the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, it's going to be war that's going to ensue. Okay? Just give me one quick second here. Got to make sure I can get on this road, man. But I'm going to actually play this video.
Rubio's bombshell statements, featured prominently in the trailer for the upcoming documentary The Age of Disclosure, paint a picture of shadowy incursion.
Ooh, the age of disclosure. You see, the age of disclosure. All right, and what's being disclosed? All right, what's being disclosed is that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. Remember, the scripture says, now he that now letteth will let until he be taken out the way. So right now, Esau is being revealed. He's being exposed. All right, the true Israelites, which are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those of us that have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, that may look like the heathen, but believe, it's been revealed through the Spirit that we're the true chosen people of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and those people in the land of Israel are frauds. All right, Esau's been exposed to being the devil that the Bible speaks of, being the wicked. America's been revealed and exposed to being Babylon the Great. Okay, the plans of the so-called Illuminati has been exposed, and the fact that they want to put a microchip inside of you, which is the mark of the beast. All these things are being revealed in these last days, man. So this is beautiful. This is the age of disclosure.
That pose profound national security risks and suggest capabilities far beyond known human technology. Advertisement. The revelations come amid a flurry of declassified footage released by the Pentagon, confirming the authenticity of videos that have circulated online for years. Advertisement. These clips, captured by U.S. Navy pilots during training exercises in 2004 and 2015, depict bizarre objects maneuvering at impossible speeds and altitudes, defying the laws of aerodynamics as we understand.
Right, because the Chariots, they can, like the individual said in the video that we played before this, he said that, they can split in half, they can rejoin back together, they can go invisible, they can shrink, You know, they can it's not, they don't move like, you know, chariots don't move like a plane. You know, they move pretty much in the fourth dimension. Like they can go straight, stop on a dime. You know, I'm talking about at astronomical speeds. You know, once it goes straight and stops on a dime, it doesn't have to turn to go left. It could just go left, go at a diagonal, go down, you know, shoot down into the water. You know, that's why when the Lord returns, man, it's gonna be a flawless victory. You know, you're not gonna have no chariots getting shot down like in the movie Independence Day. You know, that's not gonna happen. All right, hey, when the Lord puts the spirit on Esau to fight him, the Lord's going to really show forth his power. Okay? As the scripture says, that no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Okay?
Anthem. Advertisement. One particularly eerie audio snippet from a 2004 encounter captures a pilot's stunned reaction. There's a whole fleet of them. My gosh, they're all going against the wind. The wind is 120 knots to the west. Moments later, another voice chimes in with wide-eyed disbelief. Look at that thing, dude. Rubio, a key figure in the film set for release on November 21st, doesn't mince words about the gravity of these sightings. Something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities that...
And I will say too, you know, with this film that's getting ready to come out on November 21st, you know, don't be deceived about a lot of these things and a lot of the publication that Esau's putting out there right now with this whole, you know, three-eye Atlas, Atlas, quote unquote, comet that's coming towards the earth, and they don't know what it is. And, you know, ultimately it is signs in the heavens, you know, but the scriptures tell us not to be dismayed at the signs of heaven. And one thing I will say is that whenever Esau puts it out there, all right, in the media, all right, and he puts it out there, and it's heavily in the media, and you got everybody talking about it, and we don't know what it is, and you know, all these videos is coming out about this, you know, three-eye Atlas. You know, don't be deceived. I put it just like that. You know, now granted, you know, we don't know what it is. You know, we're not deceived, as the scripture says, but could it be a chariot? It very well could be a chariot of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Could it be some bullshit that Esau's putting out there to, you know, formulate, you know, Project Bluebeam? As we know, Project Bluebeam is real. It very well could be, as they said that they would stage a fake so-called alien invasion to bring forth more draconian laws. That could very well be the case as well too. You know, I just know that whenever Esau has something in the media like that, and it's promoted and it's popularized, all right, it could very well be some deception behind it. You know, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
It was not of U.S. origin, he states flatly, emphasizing that these phenomena are not products of American ingenuity or any earthly adversaries. He goes further, revealing the depths of governmental secrecy. Even presidents were informed, on a need-to-know basis, regarding UFO sightings. The implications are staggering, suggesting that even the most powerful leaders in the world might be kept in the dark about potential threats lurking in our skies.
And these elites know exactly, you know, they know exactly what these vehicles are. They know who are in these vehicles, and they know what these vehicles, the chariots of Yahweh Shah, are coming to do. They know exactly. All right, they're not. It's not no. Oh, we don't know. You know, we're trying to figure out their technology to see if they're friend or foe. No, they know exactly who they are, as the scripture says. Let's get in Psalm 2. Why do you think that Esau has the Space Force? You know, why did DJ Trump, Nero 47, set up the Space Force? You know, why is there all these talks about going to Mars and going to the moon and setting up a base on different planets and things of that nature? Why is that the case? Gotta ask yourself. This is Psalm 2:1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" It says, the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed. You see, so these different councils that they have and these meetings that they're having, whether they're open, and when I say open, what I say by open is whether we know about them, or B, there's meetings that they have behind the scenes that we don't know about. It's against Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, all right, and it's against his anointed, and who are also his anointed. We are his anointed ones. Okay, Psalm 83. They want to cut us off from being the people, as well as first and foremost, beginning with the elect of the nation of Israel. You see, so they have all these particular meetings and councils set up, all right, to try to cut us off, and they're also once again having councils together to wage war against Yahweh Shai and the holy angels when they return, man. So if they're going to try to wage war against Yahweh Shai and the holy angels when they return, how much more do you think they're going to wage war on us? They're going to wage war against spiritual beings that can't die. You know what I'm saying? That can't be hurt, that can't be stopped. So how much more you think they're going to do with us, man? We're dealing with the devil here, man. Okay, verse 3, it says, "Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us." You see, they want to cut us. They want to cut off our connection from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because ultimately, the connection that the elect have with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, it validates and confirms that Esau is going to go down and he's going to go into captivity, and he knows that. That's why great fear fell upon Esau in these various different nations whenever the prophets had the breath of life pretty much blown back into them. After 3 days and a half, the spirit of life entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them, as is written. Okay?
What keeps Rubio awake at night, he confesses, are the human costs of this veil of silence. People had claimed it would cost them their lives to speak out on the reports, alluding to threats and intimidation faced by whistleblowers over decades. The trailer for The Age of Disclosure, which has already amassed over 20 million views, features dozens of high-profile U.S. government, military, and intelligence officials breaking their silence.
Breaking their silence, and that's Psalm 64. Their own tongues shall fall upon themselves. You know, when the wicked would be revealed, their own tongues would fall upon themselves. You see? And even with their own tongues falling upon themselves, the scripture says that the preparations of the heart or the mind or the answer from the tongue is from the Lord. So the Lord has it to whereas these devils are being revealed on all angles. Okay?
Produced with the aim of exposing an alleged 80-year global cover-up of non-human intelligent life, the documentary promises to be a seismic event in the annals of ufology. Historical precedents lend credence to Rubio's concerns. One of the most compelling accounts dates back to March 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, where U.S. Air Force Captain Robert Salas was on duty overseeing a silo housing 10 Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles. Salas recounts a night of terror. "I was in charge of 10 nuclear missiles at the time when a UFO came over and hovered over our facility, and while it was hovering there it was seen by all our guards. Deep underground, 60 feet below the surface in a fortified concrete capsule, Salas received frantic reports from security personnel. Then, catastrophe. While the object was up there we lost all 10 missiles due to guidance and control failure."
See, that due to guidance and control failure. So pretty much it goes to show you that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is in control. Hey, the scripture says in Isaiah 54, what? Let me get that real quick. "I created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire." All right. Isaiah 54 verse 16, it says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire." Read that again. "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work." For whose work? For the Lord's work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So these are Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's missiles. All right, these ain't Esau's missiles and Iran's missiles and China's missiles. No, these are Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's missiles, man. Now he put the spirit upon these particular scientists and nuclear physicists, all right, to come up with the technology of splitting the atom to cause nuclear fission, all right, to cause divine fire. But that fire it's a divine fire for a reason. It's a fire that can't be replicated unless you can even split an atom. letting you know that it's Yahweh Bashim Shai in control. You see, so these missiles, whenever they get shot off, and they could be controlled, they're going to be controlled by the Lord. Okay. There's a scripture that says in Revelation how there's an angel that has the power over fire. All right, Revelation 14, and let me find it real quick. I know it's in Revelation 14. Hold on one second. Just give me 1 second. 16. 17. Here it is. Revelation 14 and 18. All right, it says, and another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire. You see? Which had power over fire. So there's an angel that specifically has the power over fire, man. So when this fire engulfs America, as the scripture says, a fire not blown shall consume them, who's going to be controlling it? It's going to be the Lord. Let's read that again. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, which was Yahweh Shai, or the angel, it says, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And that's going to ultimately be the judgment, because you're going to have millions upon millions of people here in America that are going to be completely annihilated by the missiles, by fire. All right, then you're going to also have people that are going to be getting judged throughout the four corners of the earth by the fire from the chariots. Different events that are going to be happening, buildings falling, and it's going to be a great earthquake that's going to take place where the earth is going to rock to and fro. So it's going to be cataclysmic destruction on a worldwide scale. Does that mean every single place in America, or excuse me, every single place in the world is just going to be burned by fire and everybody's going to die? The answer is no. All right, you're still going to have individuals that are going to be left over. How are we going to have slaves if everybody's going to be dead? No, there's still going to be some people that's going to be left over, but you're going to have a lot of death still in various different places. All right. But this is going into the judgment. Let's go back.
Saulus, who, along with his commander, was ordered to sign a vow of silence under threat of court-martial, has spent years advocating for transparency. Reflecting on the incident, he speculates on its deeper meaning. I can only speculate as to why it happened. This was a demonstration by an object of extraterrestrial origins, and I don't say that lightly. I think it was simply a message to all of us on planet Earth that we need to rid ourselves of nuclear weapons. The Malmstrom shutdown.
And they're not going to rid themselves of nuclear weapons. All right, these nuclear weapons that have been created, they're not going to they haven't been made just to, just be locked up and put in a museum, and down, the year 3200 down the line. You're going to have, our great grandchildren and people walking in these museums, walking around. Oh, yeah, this was going to be the missile that was going to be used when this was going to be the missile that was possibly going to be used whenever Donald Trump was in office, and him and Russia and America were at odds, and they were close to being shot, but they had a peace deal, and everything missile got dust on it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to have Nero's face. It's going to have Donald Trump's face, Nero 47's face on the missile, smiling and shit. Nah, man, that's not going to happen, man. These missiles that have been created are going to be used. All right. Hey, the scripture says that the wicked, he don't bear the sword in vain. So the Lord gonna have it to rise. He made these missiles and he's gonna use it on himself.
Wasn't isolated. Similar deactivations occurred at other sites that same night, fueling theories that these visitors are issuing a stark warning against humanity's nuclear brinkmanship. The Pentagon's recent actions underscore the seriousness with which these incursions are now being treated. On Monday, the Department of Defense officially released 3 declassified videos, the famous FLIR, gimbal, and geo-fast clips, after years of leaks and public clamor.
I have to look that up. I have to figure out what FLIR, gimbal, and go fast or geo-fast clips are.
In a statement, the Pentagon aimed to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that had been circulating was real, or whether there is more to the videos. They affirmed, the U.S. Navy previously acknowledged that these videos circulating in the public domain were indeed Navy videos. Crucially, the aerial phenomena observed remain characterized as unidentified, with the department noting that the release does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems, and does not impinge on any subsequent investigations of military airspace incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena.
That's pretty much it. You know, it just goes into a little bit more in particular accounts and things of that nature. But pretty much, man, Esau spooked. You know, Esau spooked because, you know, he's been revealed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai by his prophets, the men that the Lord set up. Remember, the scripture says in Jeremiah 28:8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against great countries and against great kingdoms of war, evil, and pestilence. So when the Lord raises up his prophets in the last days, as he said he would do, all right, that will cause fear to fall on Esau, because he knows that's the beginning of the fall of his reign, the beginning inside joke, the beginning of the fall of his kingdom. You see. And Esau really been falling since, the late 60s going into the early 70s when, when High Priest Abba Bivens, which we believed in the spirit is John the Baptist coming back in the reincarnation, came on the scene and prophesied and was prophesying, introduced Yahushai, in the hearts of the children will turn to the fathers and the fathers to the children, and you have what you have today. All right, various different camps that have risen up in these last days, stemming from those that learned from elder high priest Abba Bivens, King Masha, high priest Ariyah, high priest Jaquab. Okay, and then from them, you had the seven, high priest Shishaya, King, high priest Shah, Ariala, and Chazak. Which once again I wasn't there, so I can't really speak on that. And then from there, you've had other various different groups that splinter from One West. The House of David. You have the ISUPK, which is a offshoot of One West. Great Millstone. The School of the Prophets, which we believe we have the 100% truth. And that's why everybody hates Great Millstone. Okay, IUIC, which they've been going to hell off. Various different camps. HOI. Was a bot. GOCC, which I forgot that they was even a camp. Because they're completely bugged the hell out. But you have all these various different offshoots of camps, but there's only one truth. But ultimately, Israel is being preached. All right, the fact of who the true biblical Israelites are. And then from 2007 forward, we had the Great Awakening, and now, you just have various different camps worldwide. This truth has gone global, and Esau knows that, so he has to try to put a cap on it. But it's really going to be the Lord. When the famine of the word comes and we can't preach no more, that's really Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai is shutting it down. And we're extremely close to that happening. Very, very close. They already putting a cap on the so-called free speech. It ain't free no more. Donald Trump done said that. But, like I said, I just wanted to do a quick lesson on this. I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakudash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth, and that's what teaching this truth. And much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Until next time, Lord willing, I say shalom.